Hello everyone. Today I want to share with you guys my conversation with a soccer football coach from Ireland. But he works as academy manager in Iceland for a second division club called Vestri. Please welcome to our chat with you guys, coach Aaron Anchors.
Okay, Coach Aaron, very nice to talk to you. Very different country, different, environment.
Mhm.
As a guy from Brazil and talk to a soccer guy from Iceland, right?
Well, I'm Irish, but I live in Iceland at the moment. That's where I'm working.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah.
very nice, man. You are from Ireland.
hmm
Don't tell me you're from Bray.
From Bray.
Are you
No,
from
God,
Bray?
no. No, no, no. No, I'm from the middle of Ireland, a place called Offaly. Um,
Oh, okay. All
yeah, it's
right.
nice and quiet. It's not too crazy. You don't like people from Bray?
No, because I lived there for 1 year and a half, around 1 year and a half.
hmm Oh,
And yeah, I was very, I used to live very close to Bray Wonders.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
maybe 100 yards from the stadium.
yeah. Oh, yeah. They're a great club, though. To be fair.
Yeah, very nice. Wow, so beautiful. Very beautiful.
hmm
Okay, so yeah, you see how the world is small sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
wow, very nice. So, coach, thank you again for joining me here, the opportunity to talk to you. And I I always thought about possibility to see different box, different bubbles, different atmospheres, in a soccer environment, different cultures. So can you please tell us a little bit about, your job there, um, what you do in terms of, development of the kids, your ideas? I mean, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's very, very nice to come here and chat with you. I suppose to give you a little briefing as to what I'm doing. So the club I'm with at the moment is Vestri. We're based in Iceland, right up the north, actually. Our men's team is in the second division of Icelandic football. Um, and they're actually that we last season we won the National Cup, um, which means we play in the Europa League in July next season. Um, but in terms of our youth teams are all grassroots. So what that means essentially is that it's we're not competing with the biggest and best players of the country, essentially. Um, so every club, particularly the bigger clubs in Iceland, they have maybe 200 or 300 kids. Probably you're looking at 60 or 70 per age group. Whereas in our club, we are lucky to have one team in each age group. So what you find in that case is that we are um, a lot of mixed ability. We have players that are really good and players that maybe are brand new to football. So that's kind of a little briefing as to what our club looks like. We have, teams on boys and girls sides. We've got a couple of players who are really, really high potential. A few of our under 19s guys born in 2009 are playing with our first team this season in preseason. Um, but yeah, so we've got quite a mixability there. And then in terms of what I do, so initially when I came to Iceland, which was about 8 months ago, or just under a year, I joined the club in June of last year. I came in as just a normal coach, working with some of the older groups on the boys' side. And then over time, the opportunity came about to be the head of the academy coaches. And I absolutely jumped at the chance. And, the my job itself, what I did before, which was obviously looking after training sessions and things like that, and planning and going to games and things like that, a lot of my job hasn't changed. It's just I have a few extra things that I have to do. So a few of those things are like organizing which coach is with which age group, who's taking which sessions, things like that. And then we're planning, particularly for our young groups, for tournaments or events and things like this. And um, so I work with some of our age groups personally, but overall, my job is to make sure that every coach that we do have is coaching to a certain standard, and in a certain way as well.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. So you you manage, or you kind of, supervise the academy, right?
Yeah, so that's generally it. So we kind of um, we have coaches who are very experienced in our club, but we also have coaches that are very, very inexperienced and very new. So what my job is to make sure that we have the same kind of standard across the board, where um, we'll always give our coaches a chance to learn and develop always, but we have to have a certain standard from the beginning. And it's not about, I don't expect a coach who has never worked in football before to go and organize a really detailed tactical sessions. That's not what I expect. I expect that if you're working with a young group, that they can control a group, they can speak clearly, things like that. They can follow a plan. They can treat the kids well and things like that. Those are kind of the main things that we're looking for. But generally, yeah, I just supervise the standards of the coaching in the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Understood. How is your procedure in terms of kids that show up trying to be part of the club? Like, let's say Brazil is a different idea. Here, United States is a lot of, not 100%, but a lot of pay to play. So how it works there? Like, it's only pay to play. It's no, it's tryouts, and the best kids we keep it. How it works there?
Yeah, so in Iceland, it's very similar. It's pay to play as well. Um, in I will compare us because our club is quite. We are a well-known club, but our town and our area is very small. The town that we live in has maybe 3,000 people, so it means that the selection of players we have is really small. So it means in this case that we can't host like a tryout because we just don't have enough kids to have on these tryouts. So every kid they can show up whenever they like. And if they're interested in football, they can show up whenever they like. Um, Particularly at the young ages, they maybe can have 1 week to see if they like it, they like it. But then from there, they will get every month or something like that. They will have to pay for the training and things like that. And it's not us trying to be very difficult, or oh, we want your money, we need your money. It's so that we can put this money back into the club, that we can make it better and make the trainings better, you know. So the way it works at the moment is any kid can join, at least at our club, any kid can join, um, and they would eventually have to pay to play as well. Now at the bigger clubs, it would be different, and it would be more like a combination of both, where you would have they still need to pay to play, obviously to fund the club and things like that. But there would be different kind of tryouts or things like that that would decide what level you're playing at. Many of these big clubs, especially in Reykjavik, they would have 70 or 80 kids in one age group, and um, obviously you need to kind of the only logical way to divide them is based on ability. So then they divide them up in this way, but they still get enough game time. The players who are really top get enough game time. The players who are maybe new to football, they still get plenty of game time and things like that.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Uh, I remember when I was in Ireland, I used to work for a club, St. Joseph's. I don't know if you know this club.
Hmm.
St. Joseph's is it's a red, white, and black the crest. If I don't make a mistake.
Yeah, no, I
The,
know Joseph's. Yeah.
yeah, the Josephs. Yeah. So I remember I was maybe the first or the very beginning for like futsal classes or anything like this. Now I believe it's completely different. And I remember walking inside the club. I used to see pictures from kids that um, they used to play for the club, and then they changed for a professional club in England, anything like this. So do you have there anything like that? Like, oh, we have as a focus maybe produce a kid that go for a professional Premier League or anything like this you had before. How is your situation there?
So it's not necessarily that we're developing players to send off to the Premier League. Obviously, we're going to come across players through our work that are really talented and deserve that step up. A couple of my players are born 2009 have been over a couple of times in Italy, working with the likes of Atalanta and Parma and Fiorentina. Just because they're really talented. But the goal for our development is not to ship these guys off to bigger clubs. It's we're developing them so they can play for the first team. And one thing that is really special as well is that nearly all of our players, excuse me, are local, born and raised in the area, which means that they're all fans of the club. They all love the club, so they all want to play. Their dream growing up, I know every kid who's loved football has their one club that they love, that they dream of playing for. And for a lot of the kids here, it's Vestri, it's our club, which is really special because it means that not only are you getting players that are more hungry to develop, but they understand what's going on at the club as well. They understand what is expected of you, not only as a technical player or as a physical player, but on the mental side, the psychology side of things in football. Because in this country and in many countries, at professional or semi-professional, the mental side of the game will separate the good players and the great players. And that's something we're constantly trying to teach these guys on the daily is how can you get yourself in a position that you're so hungry, you're so determined that you'll do anything you can do to make sure you get to the next step.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah. How do you have, or uh, did you have maybe in the past or do you have now any situation that kids um, get behind because they are very behind in terms of puberty, and because you manage the other coaches, you supervise the other coaches, and coach they want to win the games, but at the same time you as a guy that oversee everything, you have to try to have a different approach because sometimes they want to win the games, and then the good skillful kid doesn't play too much because he's behind in terms of puberty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand completely, and it's something that we're dealing with all the time. Mainly actually on the boys' side of things, because with the girls they develop so early on in puberty, that by the time they're competing on a high level when they're 13, 14, 15, 16, that kind of age, they're already at the late stages of puberty. You know, I suppose some examples that I'd give is with my under 14s boys. We have guys born 2010, 2011, so you're talking 15 pushing on 16, and haven't hit the later stages of puberty. And I mean, like physically in that side of things, yes, it does put them at a bit of a disadvantage. But in terms of technically, that's the way we kind of see it is right. If you're physically not going to be able, like if your body is not physically up to par, just because of the circle of life and Mother Nature and all that kind of thing, we're going to try and make you very technically gifted, and we're going to push you to become really technical, so that there's not by the time that then you start growing, then your technical side of your game's brilliant, and your physical side, you're growing and you're getting stronger, you're getting faster, you're getting more agile, that it makes you a much better player. Um, so in that group, for example, with our under 14s, we have a mix of guys who have hit puberty early and those who haven't. Um, but you would be very surprised to see the guys who haven't hit it and how they're dealing with it and how much they just fit a part of the group. They don't look like they're out of place, or they don't look like they're, physically out of the game. On a match day, they might come up against a tricky winger or a really powerful midfielder that, is going to beat you for pace all the time. But the main thing is that they don't look out of place. That's the main thing for me. And look, one of my big kind of ideas, or I believe I made a post on LinkedIn about it, is that I'm not coaching a player, or any coach that I work with, or any coach that works for me. We're not coaching a player just for Saturday or for this season. We're coaching them for the next 15 years, because we want to hope that they go and they play for our first team. And there's no point, in my opinion, that we look at a kid who's not hit puberty yet, is 15 years old, and you're like, right, do we just give up on him? Because that makes no sense. Because you don't know what's going to happen if he hits puberty, and then you realize this kid is unbelievable. He's so physical. So why did we not just wait? You have to give them a chance. You give them a chance, and if they want to learn, they're going to learn, and that's just the way it is. So for us, it's all about making sure that these kids are, just because their body is not in the right way, or it's not growing the way it should be, or all these kinds of things, that doesn't mean that they can't be part of the team, and that doesn't mean that they can't learn as well.
Yeah, or did you have any situations like you have you had to call the coach and tell him, maybe not, in a private conversation, doesn't matter if you lose the game, but it's very important to keep this player, these kids on your squad, in your team. So did you have any problem like this with your coach? Like,
I won't say that I've had problems with a coach. To be honest, in my own career, it was something I had to learn pretty quick. Um, I've been blessed with a very fortunate career, and working at big clubs. I got the chance to work with FC Cologne in Germany with their international program, and I worked with the League of Ireland club in Ireland when I was back there, and things like that. And one thing that became really clear to me when I moved to Iceland was, especially in youth football, yes, of course you want to win games, but the result is really irrelevant. At the end of the day, we're looking. I I am someone who loves winning games of football, and I'm someone who loves winning games of football, especially if it's against a bigger team. There's nothing more that I enjoy. A big away trip, beating one of the bigger teams, and it's a brilliant feeling. But if the performance isn't good, then what's the point? Both teams, you could show up to a game and both teams are performing poorly, and then you get, I don't know, like a scrappy penalty or something, and then you win the game, and you're like, yeah, we won the game, but what did we learn? Did we perform well? Maybe not. Did we do everything that the coach asked us to do? Maybe not. So for me, it took me a while, because like I said, I always want to win games of football, but there does come a point where you have to start thinking, what is my job? Is my job to win games of football? No. Is my job to make the kids better? Yes. So then I always make it clear, as long as my performance is good, result I don't care. If the result is bad and the performance is bad, I've done my job poorly. If the result is bad and the performance is good, I've done my job, and maybe just the luck of the game or something like that, it just doesn't go your way, or you just come up against quality. And then, of course, dream scenario, if the performance is good and we win the game, then we're all happy. So at the end of the day, you're trying to find the balance of winning games, because at the end of the day, all the kids want to do, they show up to football, of course, to enjoy it, but they want to win games. They want to beat the biggest teams. They want to score goals, all that kind of thing. They want to win games, but we have to try and find the best balance of making sure our performance is good first. Then the rest will follow. That's my main thing.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I look the internet. You know, I try to look for.
Sorry, I think I can't hear you for I don't know if the mic's after cutting out. Sorry, I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know what the issue is there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, now I can hear you. There you
Okay,
go.
all right. So I was trying to looking for information about the club. You say Vestri or Vestri?
Vestri, yeah, Vestri. So
Vestri. Yeah, and I saw you have basketball in the club,
yeah,
uh,
so
right?
yeah, we're not just a football. We're a sports club. So we have basketball, we have volleyball teams that are very successful. But I suppose what people know us mostly for is football, because we've got a brilliant stadium. We've got really good support as well. Like the cup, we had a cup final that we won there in August of last year, and the game was being played at the National Stadium, which has a big capacity. I think we ended up selling out, or we had about 6,000 fans there, which um, for this country and for this club, it was really impressive. Considering our town only has about 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we have multiple sports that are attached to our name.
Yeah, I saw that, and then it came to my mind, as a Brazilian guy, came to my mind. What about futsal?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, actually. That's one thing that we don't actually have. We don't have a Vestry futsal team, but futsal is actually something that is very popular in this part of the country. During the summer, every week or something, they do just a recreational futsal tournament, and many people show up. Um, because even this part of the country where it's so quiet, we have many different cultures. We have many different nationalities and things like that. We've a lot of people from Poland in not only here but in Iceland altogether. We've many people from Balkan countries like Slovenia, Serbia, Slovakia, them kind of countries. We have a university here which has many different Americans. We've got, Spanish people. We've got basically people from everywhere. And it just means that if we have something like futsal, we can, or just any recreational football, it's a chance for all these nationalities and all these cultures to come together. But
Yeah.
as of right now, we don't have a professional futsal team.
Okay, I got you. And how is there in terms of like here in the United States, soccer, football is number 4 or 5. Some people say number 4, some people say number 5 because they have American football, basketball, baseball. So how is there? How is football there?
It's a very interesting question now, because it's very difficult to say, because of course, now the part of the world that we're in, we're very good at the indoor sports. So I'm talking volleyball, handball. Only recently we had the handball European Championships, I believe, and Iceland are one of the favorites to win these kinds of things. But in the football, like it is a good standard. And if I had to pick one sport that was probably the most, I'd say football is still the biggest. Um, just because it's one that can be played all year round, whereas with handball they mainly only play it during the winter time. Obviously, when the snow comes and things like that. Um, but like even just traveling out in the town here or in the big cities or something, you're just walking down the street and you'll see a kid wearing a Manchester City shirt, or you might see a kid wearing an Iceland national team shirt or something. You just see a lot more football than you would see people going around wearing a handball jersey or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. It's interesting because sometimes because of the culture, it's difficult to try, like maybe if you want to do something different, but soccer or football is not the first sport, it's not the second. Like here in the United States, it's really difficult if you try to implement something. It's a big country, and also soccer is the football is the fourth or fifth sport. Um, Now, my last question for you. I don't want to cross too much our time. Right now in Brazil, here in the United States, different story, but now in Brazil, South America, and even Portugal, Ireland, I believe, women's soccer are growing a lot of talk about women's soccer, and more revenue, more people watching the games. The next World Cup is going to be in Brazil next year. How is there in Iceland? How is your experience there with women's soccer? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, women's football, yeah, like you said, in the past couple of years has gone on leaps and bounds. It's evolved like no one could ever have imagined. And it's brilliant to see. And we're blessed here that we've got so many talented young girls, um, either playing in the first team or in our youth groups. Um, some really, really talented. And so some people say that, you know, our like for example our under 14s girls team have always been saying that they could beat our under 14s boys, and we're actually planning to have a game in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to see what the result is there. But no, like our girls, some of them are absolutely fantastic. um we have one girl who's born 2011, I believe, playing, or she's had regular call ups to the under 15 national team. We've had various women in the past who have gone on to play in the Women's Champions League, all these kinds of things. Our first team, we're not in the top division, but we are still competing on a very strong level. And we've got a good mix of nationalities in there. We've got a few from the United States, actually. And that's not only us, it's quite a big talent pool that Icelandic clubs like to go for is college athletes from America and from Canada, because the standard there is so high and it gives them that chance to play professional football. Um, so we've got fantastic players, we've got fantastic coaching staff as well. Um, and yeah, like the standard is really fantastic. When I arrived here, I wasn't so sure what the standard would be like because, when you go country to country, the standard of not only women's football but football in general goes up and down.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely incredible watching the women's team play. Really dynamic, really physical, really intense. But the quality there was just incredible. Technical quality, physical quality, mentally. You're seeing it in women's football. And I think that's the best thing we can say about it is that the standard is so, so high.
All right. So just to wrap up my question about the women's soccer, uh, in terms of like 100 players, what percentage for boys, what percentage for girl? How is in your club?
Oh, it's a good question.
Half
Like
half.
I'd say you're looking around that. Now, to be fair, so it kind of depends on the groups. So, like for example, with our let's say our under 12 boys, I'd say there's about 17 of them in the squad. Um, and then at the under 12 girls, it's maybe not as many. You're probably looking at 13 or 14. But then if we go up the stage and we look at our under 14s girls, you're talking nearly 20. And then at the boys, it's like 15. So it kind of depends on the group. But overall, you're looking at about 50-50.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. Yeah.
it's really great. And what we find, especially in the younger ages, is that a lot of girls and a lot of boys are join or once they start joining, all their friends are joining, and then they're staying longer because their friends are playing football and things like that. And it's really great to see we have so many boys and girls that want to play football for this club. Um, and it means then, come the summertime when our season kicks off, we can compete in really great competitions. There's a fantastic competition every summer in Iceland called Ray Cup, where at various ages, I believe it's uh, under 14s and under 16s ages only. I might be wrong on that, but generally it's around that age where you get all these different teams from best teams in the country to a bit of everywhere, boys and girls, and they all compete in this massive tournament. And the big like incentive or whatever is that if you make it to the final, that you play on the national team stadium. A beautiful grass pitch, anything every kid would dream to play on. But it's such a fantastic occasion. You spend 3-4 days in the capital. Everyone's just thinking about football, and it's just really, really special. And that's something that we are really privileged to be able to compete with both our boys and our girls. Um, and other various competitions for our even youngest groups. Like next weekend I'm away with my with the under 10 girls. We have a tournament in a place called Akurey, which is right up the north of the country, but it's a pretty big, I think people would argue it's the second biggest city in Iceland, and it's a big footballing town, big footballing culture there. But that's the thing, is that when we have so many boys and so many girls taking part, that we have this great opportunity to do these great tournaments and to put not only our club on the map and kind of put our name out there. Oh, look at this great club producing all these players, but
Yeah.
these kids get to experience these really fun occasions of playing tournaments, playing many games in a few days. Being staying overnight in a different place. It's a really good occasion, and it makes them want to enjoy football a lot more. And that's all I'm trying to get from
Sure.
these kids, is that they can enjoy it.
All right. Yeah. Totally makes total sense. All right, coach. Thank you so much. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for joining. And you know, I like to. I think it's important for us that work in this environment. Soccer environment or football environment. And football is global, but I believe you have a lot of bubbles. If you go to South America, it's one style, one bubble. Here, United States, another bubble. If you go to Portugal, Spain, and then you go, to Denmark or Iceland, it's nice to see how we are very similar in a lot of things, but also different in a lot of things. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks a million for having me on, and I'm sure we'll be speaking soon.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Cheers.
Have a wonderful night there. Okay.
All right. All the best. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.